So today we are here with architect Anupama, the principal architect at Stapati Architects. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. We're really excited to learn a lot about your journey and the ideas you have for us. So let's get started off. I think Adi can take over from here.
Could you share your background and what inspired you to pursue architecture as a career?
I think back when I think my story is a little different because my siblings were already into electronics and they were already aspiring engineers, but my experience in school, right? Because I'm the third sister, so always I used to be compared to my sisters. So I wanted to be something different, not in the same line. So that's how it is. But of course, I think my strengths, I was really interested in, sketching and so maybe I think that was one of the things. The time when I picked up architecture, it was really not the profession, the profession. Although I was very good at academics, but I chose to do it because I think I really loved the aspect of being, not being confined to textbooks. I think maybe that was one of the reasons that really kind of drew me to architecture, I guess. Yeah.
So, do you think students who just come to architecture just because they are good at art and think they can go ahead and take it as a profession just with having a mindset of being a good artist, will it help?
Absolutely, that's your passion, and passion will always drive you, right? Because if you take a job that you enjoy, like now it's 1998 I passed out, right? So 27 years, I think not even a day I've been bored. Like I rarely take vacation because it might sound as cliched as possible, but I think I truly enjoy being being at my workplace. And of course there are days where you're stressed out and get this overworking and all of that, but I think just the fact that you are doing something different and you drive yourself to do something different, right? And now this is a good age for you guys because you can explore so many things. Architecture has already come to a phase where it's not like us, like our times where back then masonry words had more weightage than an architect's words. Even now it is the same. Not same as such, but still there are people who think that a civil engineer or a structural engineer can sell better than an architect. There are times like that, but now it is not so. Now it is people value design. Even for the smallest interior apartment, they want to get it designed, right? So that's a good phase. Because design needs to be in every aspect. Design is not just only in the building. I think it should get a little more in our genes. It was always there.
Yes.
We missed it in between. So I think now it's really now taking its prominence, getting its prominence. That's really good.
How did your early experience influence your design sensibilities now?
I think my formative years, one is from college. When we came out of college, like I was sure I'm like you guys only, wherein it was only drawing and sketching and finish your sheets. So that was all about, right, architecture when you're in college. But when you do your internship, that really gives you real time, and you really places you where you are. So that really. I think as you probably travel and as much as possible, you should see buildings, see what other people are working, and not just works in terms of aesthetics. I'm talking about in the real time, right? Today's climate crisis that we have, the approach to design itself, right? When we have an understanding, there's a lot more. There's so much that we need to learn, right? Like after so many of the experiences, every time we are learning. So it's constant learning, and that's just the good part about our profession. That it always keeps you young.
So what motivated you to join Stapati and eventually lead the Bangalore studio?
Basically we had our own practice, and George, our partners here, so we had our own practice, and we happened to do one of the projects for Stapati. We were the local architects, and so that really went well, and so they offered us to join them, but that's how we started a partnership from there in Bangalore.
So, after so many years of experience, when was the moment where you found your design style, and how did you know that was your design style? Like the style of designing, you one has their own way of designing.
Correct.
They have their own thought process. So how did you reach that point where you're like, this is it, this is my way to design buildings?
See, I think the real we got to be true. I think I interned and worked in a very good firm. I worked with Matthew and Ghosh for 5-6 years. I worked with them. And before that, I worked with a place for 1 year in Hoskara Shankar. He had just come back from the US, so that was a good exposure for me because what they used to do in America. So I was exposed to that, and then I moved to Matthew and Ghosh where I had a lot of colleagues from SEPT and things like that, and all they studied from Bangalore College. Your discussions and your craving to do more, right? My day would start, my formative years I'm talking about, my day was not now. My formative years, like when I was working, I think I would start my day at 6 o'clock in the morning, like the first one to come to the office, open the office, because you really want to be in that, to learn more, right? More and more you do and more. So that was how it was in the beginning. But then later on, because one of the reasons is when you have somebody who's already designing, you want to see in their perspective how they're designing. You want to learn, right? You want to understand. And I think during that time I was exposed to a lot of like good work, and then how to simplify. Like, normally we used to have a lot of books in college which you would really refer and see what is a good design, but without an understanding you don't really read the soul of it at that point of time, right? So that's when I really understood what is the soul of a space, or how do you look at a project, how do you design and bring it to life, right? So I think that was my real good formative years.
So before entering the field, as a student, is interning at more places necessary, or like doing freelancing is better?
Working is better, definitely. You need to go through grind.
Okay, so
I think see, because in our office, right, I'm saying now it's a lot more disciplined, I would say, but otherwise we have people who are nocturnal and people who come like as early as like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and our office is always like 24 hours it's open. People who come, they want to come in early. There are people who work late. Like I'm a very late worker. Like I work like 2 o'clock. Like I like it like because it's quiet and there's nobody to disturb, right? So that's how it works for some people. Some people, so it was good. But the moment you more exchange and you discuss your design, exchange of thoughts and things like that, that really helps. So definitely should work. You should work in a few places.
Coming to the firm, just like to ask how you describe Stapati's core values, design philosophies, and especially looking at the Bangalore context, how do you think of the values and philosophies?
See, basic principles that we work on, right, is we always be contextual. Whatever project it is, right, it has to make sense. It has to be contextual. One is the site itself, then the climate, then the where you use it, right? See, because we are taking on a responsibility for a client, because the client is investing in what we are doing and entrusting the work to us, because it has to be a viable project for him. It could be a new business, it could be an office, it could be anything, any typology, right? Like apartments, right? He's selling, he's making money out of it, so he's entrusting that, right? He has no idea. Like sometimes he will say, okay, give us a scheme, then we will give a project. I said, no, we are not doing it. So there are people who are blindly trusting us, saying that, okay, some new brands that we are doing. There's a brand called Nira that we are working with. So this is, I think, our 15th project that we're working on. So we have done 5 in India, and we have done another 15 in houses. Nira is you will not even know a project like that can have so much of potential for us. It's a cancer screening center. It's a lifestyle preventive measures. So it's gone on in such a way because it is so close to you, because health, and you see your immediate family is going through, all of it, you can relate, right? So relatable, right? So it becomes so special to you. So you really put in your heart and soul, you can really empathize with the family, or it's also sensitive, so then that's why preventive measure is so very an answer, right? So it becomes close to you. Now the way it is gone is like, they've now started a new brand attached to it. Then they're also talking about wellness. So one to one. So you really cannot commit yourself to just as a designer, because you put really a soul into it, right? So that's how. So context is a very, very important thing. That's one thing that we really work. That's a fundamental thing that we do. We can talk about, we can say sustainable and that and this and all that. Everybody can talk about it, right? But how do you make a project viable, right? Sometimes it is good maybe not to use sustainable materials, right? Like you really have to see what is the frame, what is the line of business, what is the projection, what is the brand identity that they have to create. So all that makes a lot of sense. So being, in terms of your design, right? Understanding the core is one of our, I think, key strength that we really work on, because that's why we're able to do so many typologies of works, like we do from resorts to residences to retail to apartments to commercial offices. We're able to, because that's what we also truly believe, that we don't want to get ourselves into a niche, because there are a lot of offices. Yes, of course, it is very profitable to align yourself to just do one type of work, because you already know the formula and you just keep on working. So that's another way of doing it. I'm not saying that's wrong, but we want to keep it that way because it gives you fresh perspective, right? Like when you are doing this, we also bring in, maybe like when we're doing this, we also do resorts, right? So we bring in that hospitality aspect to this, right? So it is the lot. That's why the clients kind of like to engage with us, because we bring in different dimensions to it. Like maybe probably they wouldn't have thought about it, but we bring in that naturally comes in because we've already worked on it, right? So they say, okay, why don't we do this? We also kind of pitch in some ideas and things like that, so they receive it well. So a holistic approach is what another thing that we always look at. So maybe these are the main key areas that we do, and at the end of it, we totally believe in keeping the cost in control, because that's one of the viable thing, because any project you're investing money, right? You cannot really afford to waste, or optimization. I would say optimization. So we really focus on optimizing design, time, energies, all of that.
So in a market with such diverse traditions, how do you balance local context and the global design trends?
Different, from different nations you're coming. So they come there to experience the local, right? So local flavor, local food, it could be local art, it could be anything, like local food especially, right? So that's when the local takes a precedence. Like what are you even projecting? That's why local is an important aspect there. Then house, right? In a house, can I make it local? I can't. I have to take the client's personality. So it has to be what the client is. Like especially in a residence, which is so much personal, right? I cannot say I like bamboo. I can't say that, right? So your whole brief of project has to be read very well, right? So now suppose going back to say Noora, right? Now we have done in Dubai, we have done in South Africa, we have done in Vietnam, 3 we have done in Vietnam, then we are doing in Malaysia and things like that. So now the thing is, when you have so much, right? When I'm from Southeast, from India, we're going there to do a project. Can I take local as a material and then showcase their work to them? Should I use? I'm thinking, because the same local people are going to come. So does it make sense? So these are the things that we really brainstorm when we want to do, right? So, or do we say, okay, this is Southeast Asian, it's an Indian brand that's coming there. So should we show Indianness there? So these are the things that we always toy with the concepts. How do you do? So these are the things when we pitch into the client, we think about it as a conceptually. How do you do? Of course you have a like a workflow, you have a functionality, all that will be set in place. But as an ambience, as a feel, as when somebody walks into a space, how does he need to perceive the place? How does he perceive the brand, right? So that we kind of give a frame. We have a general ethos or general character that we build in, and then we kind of work on. So then does really local make sense? Does it make sense? Is again a question. We can also interpret it in a different way. It's an Indian company, we want to bring Indianness there. We can also say that, right? But what we did is now we kind of tied with the local artists, like a local people who are well known there. We had their interpretation. So it's a statement. It's also so because it's a brand that we're going there and then it's establishing. So it is important to have the brand presence. So there are so many things that we need to take into perspective before saying that it's local, right? Or like for example, Bangalore local. Why we did local is because it is important because we want to create a platform for the local artists. That is for sure that we want to do. That's the essence of the whole thing. So now tomorrow if I'm going to do it in Kerala or for Maharashtra or Mumbai, I will say I want the Mumbai people to come there because we are creating a platform. So that's how it's basically context. What is the context? You need to have a to understand the brief or create a story around it, right? Because the client will not have any view. Okay, when they come here, they have no idea as to what they want to do. They want a nice space. They want to make money. They want to make 40 lakh per month. That's the brief, right? So, but then we have to make a platform. It also has to be enjoyable to us. Like whenever somebody comes in, right? Wow, I mean, it's a different thing. It has to be unique. It has to be, so those things are very important. Like it's basically storytelling. So how are you going to make a story? Create a story around it. So that's very nice, right? So that's very important. So understanding a brief is very important. It could be any program. It could be an office. It could be an interior project. It could be a retail. So, when it is a personal project, it's very important to bring in their context. Because what the person likes is important, not us, right? So then how do we interpret their liking? So when you have conversations with people especially, right? It could be residents or it could be their boutique or something like that. We talk a lot, we have a lot of questions and we talk to them and we understand the personal traits and what they're liking and things like that, which we kind of reflect back in our work, So, but of course, in a very Stapati way, we put it across, yeah. Somehow that flair that comes in.
So, what is your stance on taking up projects that might not be highly profitable, but they hold like a significant cultural or social value?
No, that's what I have both.
Okay.
No, we have done like there's a small project here, just down the road, Stapati here. It's a very small property, so just a 45 by 90 plot. It is two houses. I think one of the smallest projects that we are doing. It's a 45 by 90, two 45 by 45 plots. They bought it together. Behind there's a nala, and front it's a busy road. So it's a very challenging thing. They said that I don't have fees. This is all that I can give you. But this is my project, and this is what I like. These are the problems. So actually, for the challenge of society, we took the project. It was very challenging because nala was there. We could not allow the smell to come. They could not even open the. It was already an existing house, two houses, and they wanted to join them together. So it was so challenging that we took it up because of not for the monetary, but for the challenge. Of course, we limited our services as to how we do. We just did the design and made sure that they could execute it, and then we would just go once in a while. So you have to beat that balance. You cannot. I mean, of course, we are doing a lot of pro bono projects also, which are our own initiatives and things like that. We also do a lot of them. Monetary is not the only thing, but when you're doing, especially when your question was when you're doing the large project, it's not viable. Right?
So how does the team approach the initial stages of development of a project? So what is the ideation process looks like with the firm to understand?
Yeah. So what happens is typically in a group in a team, right? We will have either George or myself will be a part of the team, and we'll have senior architect and maybe another architect, and we have interns as a part of the whole team, right? So sometimes it could be as strange as just some keywords. Biscuits and yeah. So sometimes we start with even like we have either maybe in the office we create groups and we have ideas being thrown. It could be as simple presentation as like maybe like keywords, what are the keyword that we have to work on, right? Sometimes people do a presentation with only keywords. That's also bad, So they say, okay, I want to create this. But that word is so strong that sells, it's like that. So we work on that. Sometimes they also say, okay, they'll record saying, I took a walk today here and this is what I feel, this is what I want. So there are people who even take a capture of that and then they also present. As backward as possible, right? Sometimes we just chat over like this and then we bring some things to the table, some ideas, right? It could be this and this. So sometimes it would be probably a group of 2 people coming and doing some idea presentation, maybe at the same time so sometimes we have options when, okay, fine, we park this for the next project, so it's like that. But there are chances where we present maybe 2 or 3 options, same ideas, whatever we had, we present to the client also. Sometimes the client picks the other one, totally a different one he'll pick. So it happens like that. But so once ideas is the most important thing to, how we want to do it. And so, understanding the site, what is the strength of the site, how do you want to orient it, and, understanding your north, south, east, west, and your wind and your, your rainfall because we are doing projects in Udaipur and, even Chhattisgarh we are doing, Raipur we are doing. So that's we are not very familiar with the conditions, right? We're not very familiar. So it's interior project is very different. Interior doesn't matter. It's just about the sunlight and things like that. That's how to do. But it's very important that how we read and how we sort of orient your buildings and those kind of things are very, very important. So we spend a lot of work, time analyzing the site and maybe doing block models and understanding the SIO. Maybe on SketchUp also we kind of do just basic modeling and massing and things like that. What is our approach towards that we do, right? Yes, of course, interns have a major part to play there. They do a lot of block models and they're supposed to read dictionary and come up with a good synonyms for all of them. I think that really, because see, that's where your strength on your language, your vocabulary, it's so important, right? It's so important. Why we should read. They're saying it's not for it's a story also. You will never know stories that I read in 10th to somehow we it here, like your experiences, especially your and that's one of the important reasons why you need to be true to your personality. That you don't need to be another person. You can have your own experience. Everybody has their own experiences, right? So that's where your personality comes in because you have your own story to tell, right? And you have some sensibilities. You would have had maybe your grandmother was like a Totti Mane, right? You'd have had memories there. So you should be able to reflect that. That's the beauty about everybody's design, right? You bring something there. That's some experience that you would have loved. I'm sure everybody would love it. So you should bring in that. So that expression is very important, without shying away. I mean, it could be small, big, doesn't matter, right? So these are things that you build on stories and, your experiences. I loved it. It could be somebody else's, but, that was some good thing I want to bring in. So those are things that you need to capture. Like photogenic memory you should really have and you should be able to write it, keep it there and, so those are the things, your life experiences. That's very important.
So how critical is it to keep on innovating and exploring new possibilities or new architectural directions where the world keeps on moving and how do we keep up with it and how important is it to keep up with the present?
Yeah, it's very, 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 very. You have to. There's no other choice. Because the reason is not just only in construction, your design technique, now to AI come into picture. We are trying to see, is AI better or we are better? We are also trying that, because we also give keywords, see what is the output. Because we already have a keywords. We are working on a keywords, right, in our mind to get that, to emote that, right? We already are working on that. So we want to feed in the same thing, see what is the expression. But it's nice, right? It's a tool that we have to use it for our benefit, not for any result. We already know what we want, or maybe the other side of AI is also good, right? So that is one thing. So technology is improving, which is for the good, right? Like you guys didn't do drafting. Like I counter that also because maybe I did drafting. My drafting skills are better, or my presentation is much better, right? Rather than I that's what I debate with all the people that they don't agree. But I think because we drafted, we started with R14. I don't know, you guys now use what AutoCAD, which version now?
25.
25. I started with R14. R14. But my print setting, the print CTB setting, right? Mine's, I think, better than everybody's in the office, you know. Because I would draw, I would then really see it, take print, and then, you know, do it, you know, because that's how the software was. And then I've stayed there only. Yeah, but I think that's a good thing, you know, your software skills are really good. You need to relevant. And then in terms of construction technique also, like, you know, we are doing a lot of steel constructions and MyWin and things like that. So one is, technology is very important to, you know, save time, construction cost, then, you know, your carbon footprint, you know, we are talking about so many things, right? So it's what is happening is for the good.
And so you previously mentioned you have limited set of 5 clients, and through them you get many projects. Like from a single client you might get 15 projects. So how does that project management come to role? Like how do you manage to do many projects simultaneously, and what kind of challenges come up that time?
Deadlines. Deadlines are crazy sometimes, no? They're really crazy. It's like 1 hour, first hour from 10 to 11 we have a same client, project this one. 11 to 12, same client, another project. 12 to 1, same project. So, same client, another project. Like we are fed up of seeing him, you know? Like I said, no. Like sometimes what happens is the first meeting, this thing, you cannot say same reason, you know? So I said, no, at least you give a chance to lie, you know? Give some room to lie. That is actually a good problem to have, but yeah, it is tough. But of course, we have different teams working for the same project, the same client, right? We make sure that we shuffle the team. There's some freshness, you know, because not always I will be designing, right? So there are people who are other people also designing. So they're responsible for it, right? So the freshness is always important. You know, we take a break and we come back and bring in from fresh ideas, and we travel, we go see other works. That's very important. You know, to bring that, to keep your mind fresh.
Adding on to Aditya's point, this point out when your creativity is also coming in, when you're trying to build your architectural way of doing it. Clients also needed creative, but how do you manage the financial aspect of it to, you know, make sure that is also delivered, the creativity and architectural style, but keep making sure the finance is also very happy to the client in some sense. That is always a tricky question comes everywhere.
Yeah. See, that's a process that we do, right? Like first you do the design that you want, right, and see where you really stand in terms of the budget. Then maybe a little bit of trimming here and there, find alternate methods, do other thing, right? So that's why the main first design, you know, until you bring in your concept, you know, from your concept to bring it to life, like your 3D visualization, like you really have to work really hard in terms of not just only this, you know, understand what the pricing of a material is, or what is an alternate that we have. So, and you also give a priority, right? You know, okay, this is the best part. Probably you can push a little more funds into this, and then so there's always a balance that you can find. You have to find some alternates. So that's, I think, over a period of time, you know, you practice in and out. You look at it, right? So sometimes you're of course disappointed that you're not able to, because you get so attached to that particular, say like earth, you know, rammed earth. We want to do that one particular with a grey tone, and it was really beautiful. But the client didn't like it at all. Like one bit, it like, I said, what are you seeing? I was raving. You know, wow, it's looking so beautiful. Client is saying, no, it looks like what is this? You know, he's totally not with us. So we have to give up. Right? But that's so disheartening for us. So we will park it, okay? We will use it somewhere. So that happens. So fine, you have to find new love. Okay, fine. Okay, you know, you get over again your breakups. No, you get over. It's like that. It happens, and I think that's a fun part. That's a fun part, right? Sometimes, yes, of course, you know, we are not in a mood to, after a bad meeting, we don't want to come back and work. But then there are one or two people in the team who will be charged. They say, come on, we have to give back. Like, so that energy kind of buzzes you, know. So that's a good thing. Like that's the best part of working as a team. Like now you guys are all doing group work, right?
Yeah.
So each one picks up one point. So that's here, you know. So sometimes you might be down, another person will cheer you up. So that is the advantage of having a group work.
So how important is networking and maintaining industrial relationships in the growth of the practice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, you know, you can't run solo, right? It's very important, especially, this is what we're always thinking about, like architects, right? With COA being there, we should always compare, we should always see the other professions, how they're thriving and why we're not thriving. We always compare that. If you see chartered accountants, just to give an example, right? If somebody is a client, if you're 3 years, you're CA, I'm your client, right? So if I want to move from you to you, like I'll say, okay, I don't want to take your service because I'm not happy with your service, right? He will not be able to take up my work unless you give a NOC. Unless you give, I'm okay that you take up my job. Unless you give him a NOC, he cannot take up the job. So that's how strong the fraternity is. When asked, okay, they don't like you, okay, come, I'm giving 5 rupees cheaper. So that is there because it's so competitive and it's so volatile yet, So maybe we have to get stronger in that.
So we're done with the set of questions. So
thank you.
have some.
Yeah.
So we'll be asking some questions which help us, in the future as architects. So my personal question is, what actually does the present industry look out for the architects, and what do they actually expect? Because there are already such big firms where the work is already saturated. Like, how do they hire the big firms? On what basis do they hire? Because they just want to get their work done. Do they just see a single expertise in the student, or like what do they see and then hire the student?
See, one is, of course, your skill sets are very important. Your skill sets are very important because that's your personal thing, right? What you can offer on the table. You cannot really say today this project might need a model making, like model making, because we all did models. Like when I was interning, at least in a month I would do 30 models, like a day. That means one day a model. That is the amount of models that we used to make. And when I was working with Matthew and Ghosh, we were doing the Freedom Park when we won the project, right? So for 3 months we worked on the model. On 3 months we worked on the model. So that is the amount of so that skill set really helped me in many ways. Like now maybe I don't do models, but in terms of how a roof can be folded, I don't need a 3D modeler for me to understand that, because when you have that skill set, why these softwares have come is because it is making things easier, and it also, you don't need to think so much. But the moment you know something, then your these softwares can help you, right? So skill sets are very, very important nowadays, because you really don't know where any firm, wherever you go, right? You don't know what kind of, like in our office, we expect everybody to know from model making to your drafting skills should be good. Then your writing skills should be good. Like mail, you have to write. Everybody, all interns have to write. Then your language is very, very important. Your vocabulary is very important, because you need to present to the client. Because there are projects where we encourage interns to do the presentation. We want them to do the presentation because they've been a part of the team for the presentation, right? So we expect them to present, at least if not a small bit, because sometimes that's very important, to learn the presentation. And any good skills. You should not even undermine any skill set that you have, because there are some inherent. Probably in your school you are really good, but you're not really using in architecture. But you really should hone and work on them, because nowadays social media, especially social media, where architects are going into content writing and things like that. Right? So that's where your visualization, your movie making. Probably now you guys are shooting, right? So this comes very naturally to him. No, I'm saying, so I'm just giving the angle. Sometimes how you take a picture, so much. So we have, for instance, especially we have a program like Picture a Day. It's a compulsory thing. Like they stay here for 44 months, right? So 120 pictures they have to take every day. So if it is not good, if the frame is not good, they have to redo, right? So they have to take a picture, and sometimes there are themes. It could be patterns, it could be shadow, it could be light, it could be that. So we have across offices, we have interns, they're all in a group, and we have all of us are looking at each and every picture every day. So sometimes I'm looking at maybe night, and sometimes some picture looks interesting to me, so we'll have a comment. Sometimes it's not good, so they have imposition also. So they have to take maybe 10 pictures. So that's good. So but when you see all of them, right? Like we had an intern from Chennai, I think Miyasi, I guess, So his first photography was so bad. Like now he's taken up photography as profession. Like because that much of grinding he went. Like he was so obsessed with getting thumbs up. Like that number of thumbs up gets, they get a prize. So that's how it is, So everyone gets a reward. So he took it really serious, personal. Like any function or any birthday, he's an official photographer, He has to take, because 100 you take, maybe 10 we will select. So that's why he really honed his skill. Like he took it as a challenge. Actually, it is not his skill set. He took it as a challenge. Now he's a professional photographer. He shoots. So you never know what really will trigger you or where you will go, right? So you should always be open-minded, and your passion. You should just follow your passion.
You have some questions?
He is very quiet.
Starting your career today, what would you do differently?
Me? What will I do differently? I think I'll want to paint. I should be very good at painting. I would really paint very well, which I've totally stopped. Sketching to zero now. I'm not sketching. So I would go back to that. I think I would start, I used to have my own set of butter sheets. I would work on butter sheets. Like I would know scales, without even scale. Like I would really know that so well, which I think maybe I've missed out on that now. So I would go back. I would do that, because I think my, your memory is good in that state. Now I don't remember the measurements and those kind of things. So, you guys do drafting? You still have drafting or no?
Not this year.
Not this year.
It's
But then-
all digital.
No, but initially you had?
Yes. From this year, it's completely different. We
Third
don't
year
have-
we had.
Oh yeah. But you guys should do that, because that really helps. That really helps. Scale, proportion,
How do you build a relationship with a client? So
What do you mean? How do you build? You're asking? How do you
when you
build?
get a client, how do you build a good relationship with them? Like what tips?
Does your previous project, by showing it to them, do they get impressed by that, or like?
See, most of the clients now, what they have is they already know the works that we have done. So they're pretty sure they want to work with us. It's mostly that. It's very rare that it doesn't
Matters.
materialize, right? Like, we convert it. Definitely it is a convert, Only rarely things like, like Kathmandu and all that, no? So they wanted to have every week a site visit. So that's not viable. So that maybe one of projects I think that we didn't do. But most of the projects we try and as much as possible, as long as it's interesting, right? Sometimes there are projects like apartments is one thing that we have really refrained ourselves to do, especially from Bangalore office, because I don't understand that at all. Like I can't work with that scale. But yes, I mean that's another thing that we want to explore. We have not done it yet, but that's something that we want to really get into and do it and do something different. Not do the same.
So for an established firm, it is easy to convert clients.
No.
So no.
So many big architects are there, no?
Yeah, but
My client would have gone from 100 people. He would have asked,
yes.
give me this. So
Right.
So for them, even a 5 rupee will matter in a price, right?
Correct.
Because that's the scale of the project.
So if a architect is just starting off and is opening his own firm, he doesn't have any prior works to show. So how is it possible to pull clients?
That is why you should not start. You should work first.
Yes.
So,
Like after
yeah.
working.
No, I see. I'm not against that, because it's a slow process. We need to understand that architecture is a very slow process, right? To establish yourself. So sustain is not at all a problem. To sustain, you can do any odd job. You can make sufficient money that you can survive. Sustain is not if that's not the point. To establish yourself as an architect, you have to find your calling. You have to find your calling. That's the most important, that's the most difficult part. That what you really like, right? What do you really like? And as you said, like, should I do only apartment? Some people really do enjoy apartment, right? I'm not. So some people do only I want to do boutiques. So some things like that. No, so if that's your calling, but then any type of quality that you do, right, or to find your own niche, right? You can stay really small. You can do really small and do good jobs. You can do that. Like I'd been to Kerry Hill's office, right? Kerry Hill's office is maybe half of this.
That's it.
Half of this, 3 floors. So there was one guy. He's there for I think 15 years or something. He's doing only models for the past 15 years. He's just doing only models, hand cut. Like I wish I could show you the thing. I was really like 2 years. We were there for almost a week. Every day I would go to his office. Every day, just to breathe that air. It's so good. It was so good. Because it was just being nice. We went to Singapore just to meet all the architects and see what they're doing and things like that. We were there for a week. We met very interesting people. Very nice, good landscape architects also we met. It was nice, seeing the 5 years and things like that. So I think you should. Why I'm saying is, starting on your own is not a bad thing. But if you get a prior experience, it always adds on to your thing. That's really good.
As we are on this topic, how does higher education matter? Like, is it actually really important to do our masters, then start working, or like have some years of experience, then do masters? Or is masters really not necessary to practice?
Like if you go out of India, I'm just giving an example of a person who is having a master's and this thing. Masters will definitely have an advantage, definitely an advantage, especially when you do very specialized kind of thing. Design is one aspect, but if you do lighting, you do landscape, you do project management, you can do product material sciences. There are so many varied things, right? So these are very, very niche things, like especially sustainable, like LEED certification. There's so much diversity now, which are all important to complete a project. Like now we are doing a project for height in Coorg. It's a 45-degree slope, so it's a really, really difficult terrain. So, water is very, very scarce. Although there's so much rain, there's no catchment area. So we did a study where we had to take an architect or a consultant to study what is the water requirement and what is how we can do. So this guy is doing only how do we retire. So he's actually done geology also after that. He's an architect, but he studied geology to understand how we can recharge the water and get the groundwater table high. So that is one thing. Then we have also collaborated with a person who is doing simulations for us. Only simulation. Just to see where the heat mapping and what kind of material, what kind of shading we have to do. So we really went to that depth, because this was one of the LEED certified projects that we went, but not in the just for sake of certification, but really optimize the design, how we can do it, right? So that's how with all the study we had to do. So it took almost over a year for us to do all the study, and then we started the design. So that was really good. So masters in that sense is really good, because these guys are doing phenomenal work. That guy, I was really blown away by the kind of projects that I saw him doing. He's doing projects in like Rajasthan, Gujarat, the drought areas, and like now how he's recharged, and he's doing in Andhra, like I think he's divided about 80 lakes and things like that. So it's so interesting, no? Maybe being an architect himself has helped him to bring more perspective to this, I would say, because even a geologist also can do this, or anybody else could have done, any engineering subject also could have, guy also could have done this, but an architect brings in a different angle to it, perspective to this, no? So I think because nowadays you see, design doesn't mean just making buildings, right? There's so much, like if you see Atelier 10, you guys know Atelier 10. Atelier 10 is, you should look at that, because it's very important. It's a good firm to look at. So they work with Fosters, and they do alternate energies and things like that. who support. So they've done Way of Gardens in Singapore. They've done very, very good projects across. So how they've looked at, analyzed the design and what is their contribution and how they made it. The Jewel in Singapore they've done. So there are a lot of good designs that they've brought in. So which are architects but then specialize in a very different thing. So like that. So it really depends what you want to add and what is the line of interest. It's actually line of interest. Like if you're sometimes like I was telling my son is very good and he's got an engineering mind. Like it was very easy for him to get into architecture. Like it would have been the easy way to come, but his mind is a very engineering mind. So I was telling him to bring in. So that's why he joined mechanical. He's in mechanical. So wherein he is now trying to do alternative energies. No. So that I'm sure if he comes up with something, I'll incorporate in my design. So that's very, very good. And working with alternates, like there are especially alternative cooling methods. So that's also another specialization you can do, which I always encourage. You should do. And don't think architects is only design and doing something aesthetically, right? So how we can incorporate and how you make a building successful, that's important.
So do you think it's better to kind of like have a particular skill set and kind of like in an aspect to kind of survive in this world rather than like kind of having a general knowledge about everything?
You should of course have general knowledge about everything because otherwise people take you right for ride.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's important to know this thing, but I mean what you like and what you're really good at it, you should hone that. And then your other things you should pick up skill sets. I think you should do that. I mean, don't worry about all of this. It will come.
Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today, ma'am. It was truly inspiring to hear your journey and the thought process behind your designs. We really appreciate your insights and the opportunity to learn from your experience. Thank you once again. It was an honor having this conversation with you today.